Why do you believe so many Americans associate Islam with terrorism?
This is not just an issue of, just pure sociology where people just don't know any better. There's a concerted effort of groups, of 33 inner core groups and 41 outer core groups, who actually work to promote propaganda and misinformation about Muslims to the tune of over $200 million from 2008 to 2013. And those folks go around speaking, putting out movies, putting out propaganda, cherry picking the Quran, taking pieces out of it, telling people that the Muslims are here to kill you, that we are a fifth column in the United States, that we're trying to bring Sharia law and subvert the Constitution, and this type of thing. So it's not an incident. It's not just that there's a bunch of people that don't know no better and they're spreading this to the masses of folks. The likelihood that you know Muslims, because it's a religious minority, is low. So when you have people spreading propaganda, and I used to wonder about black folks like this. This is what happened when I was a kid. Except we didn't have the technology we have now. Now anybody with a computer or an iPod or a telephone can start their own thing, and they can keep spreading this propaganda across the country. If you go back and look at the history of this country and look at what happened to Jews, not even 100 years ago, that same type of propaganda they were putting out on Jews, that they'll lie, that they steal, that they're out to kill you, that they're going to bring a halacha law at the time and take over. Even with Catholics, when Kennedy ran for president, this was a big issue, that they're afraid the Pope's going to take over the United States. So it's not just that people don't know, it's that people are being misinformed. And now we have people in high levels, I won't say who they are, but we have people at high levels of government making the same type of ignorant statements. And those statements are hurtful, and those are the things that we are challenged to deal with.
A lot of the misconception happens from the media, and the media definitely feeds on what the public wants to know and wants to hear. For instance, if you look at any average day in downtown Houston, Chicago, LA, New York, or any other metropolitan city, you'll find that a lot more people get killed from criminal acts than any terrorism acts probably on the planet for that day. But you don't get any mention of that, or you don't hear about it at all. For the victims of that crime, I don't think they really care that their loved ones being killed by a terrorist or a criminal. To them, it's the same thing. But if an act of terrorism takes place where, 1, 2, or 3 individuals, and not to belittle every life, if an act of terrorism happens, it will be on the news cycle day after day after day, and it will be associated with one particular religion most of the time, even before it's confirmed or the news gets released. From the FBI perspective, we're extremely careful about putting out statements regarding any terrorism incidents. Not until we fully investigate it, we find out the motives of the individual, and we find out what exactly happened. But before any of that happened, within the first 5 minutes, labels have already been put out in the news, and certain people have been labeled to be terrorists.
I can't speak for every media outlet out there, but I can tell you that every reputable outlet does restrain itself. We try to wait for the facts to filter in. You may be hearing that, let's say if there's an attack in France, that French authorities are saying they believe it may be a cell connected to this, that, and the other. And believe it or not, folks, we as journalists have to police ourselves, because we just can't go out and say this without the possibility of leaving ourselves open to legal repercussions. So we are constantly having to fact check, not just verify, as you see, which is a trend lately, but we do have to, if I see one TV station saying so-and-so was convicted of this, I have to go out myself and find out, did that actually occur? But what I will grant you along that line is, A, there's a lot of media that is no longer what I would call reputable, in the sense that it could be anybody. It could be Breitbart. It can be social media. And those branches of the media are quick to judge, quick to label. And the wildfire starts. And once somebody starts saying this, and then there does seem to be a bit of truth to it, then yes, reputable media does have to go and verify if that happened. But as far as why non-Islamic extremism isn't reported on, it is, but like I said, my gut feel is that it just tends to be painted with a different brush. I don't know why. I think that's kind of an interesting fact.